Hi, welcome everyone. This is the third part of our onboarding webinar series. We are really happy that you are with us today. My name is Fabiola. I am going to be your presenter today. I am from the customer onboarding team here at TaxDome, and we're ready to get started on this third section of the webinar series. All right. So as we continue, today marks the third part of the webinar series, and we'll explore, different facets of TaxDome when it comes to workflows. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that you will get certified and have a certificate of completion once you go through the three sessions that we have available here. And also, if you are not doing the live versions, you can still get that completion certificate via the quizzes that you can take on TaxDome Academy. So either way, we have that available for you. Let's continue with what we're going to learn today. So today we're going to explore core functions of pipelines and how they work. We'll discuss the importance of using templates to create seamless workflows. And additionally, we'll cover rules and settings of pipelines to give you a clear understanding of both your clients and your team's experience. Also, I want to let you know that there's features that are going to be extremely helpful. We'll cover some of those features that have been implemented into TaxDome recently and will be additionally beneficial to you as you create the workflow. Now, I want to review the last topics that we covered yesterday. We did cover really the very basics of the terminology at the very end. So I want to talk about that today and go into more into depth, right? Because we did learn about importing our clients and managing bulk actions and understanding how the Windows app works and client communication. But we want to get more in depth in, after I set that up, how do I move forward with having a pipeline that adjusts to my business needs? So let's talk about this terminology a little bit more in depth. What are pipelines? Pipelines, really, it's the whole process from beginning to end of the service that you're providing. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a service. It can be an internal process that you use just for you and your team. However, as a common practice, a pipeline can be a 1040 process. It can be a bookkeeping process, right? It could be a payrolling process. So you can have different pipelines for different services. A pipeline consists of different stages, which is really fragments of your process. So it's really a step that is required to be fulfilled in order to move to the next step. Those are the stages that you'll find inside of a pipeline. Jobs really are something that you add manually. So if you have a client in which you're doing a individual tax service for, also known as a 1040, you will have to add that client as a job to a pipeline. So jobs are individual services. Individual services a client pays for, right? So if I'm doing bookkeeping, it's a bookkeeping job. If I'm doing payroll, payrolling job. If I'm doing tax return, it's a tax return job. Now, hopefully that is becoming a little more clear. In these stages for these pipelines, not only will we have automations, and we'll talk about automations more in depth shortly, but in these stages, you will have tasks that you generate for you and your team. These tasks are strictly internal. So I do want to start talking about the difference between jobs and tasks, and I'm going to share my screen so we can see how this looks like. On the left-hand side of your menu, you will see your workflow. In the workflow, there's a few sections that you will always have available to you. The first thing that you'll see is tasks, and the difference here between tasks and jobs, for example, are that tasks, again, are internal. These are items that are only for you and your team. Your client cannot see any of this information. None of the notes that you will potentially add on here is visible to the client. It is strictly for you and your team. Hence a to-do list, right? That is a task that you need to complete. Notice that we have a completed tab. So once you complete something, you'll have statuses. And if you hit complete, it will disappear and go into the completed section, right? So coming back into this task view, much like many of our other views, if you notice, we all have search functions and we all have filters. So in case you have a lot of tasks assigned to you, you can filter them. You can also look at tasks for the whole team, not just yourself. In case that somebody's out sick, you can actually, on the fly, change who it belongs to, and now that person has this task that they need to complete. So again, tasks are internal. You can create a one-off task here by clicking new task. You pretty much can create a reminder just for yourself and say, hey, bring coffee tomorrow morning to the office. Or you can actually tag an account and say, please update this address and assign it to one of your team members. So tasks are really great for managing individual to-do items and also great to integrate into a pipeline. For example, notice that we have a section called templates. We will be utilizing templates here to manage pipelines. These are predetermined. So if I click on one, it'll autofill the form for you, which means that it's going to make things a lot faster for you when there are common to-do items or tasks that are always needing completion. So again, tasks are internal to you and your team. Jobs, again, really, they are an account going through a pipeline. If a job is active, in this job section, you will see that a job has been activated to this pipeline and it's assigned to this individual in my team. And this is the account that it belongs to. And this is the name that I chose for the job in general, right? All of our sections have all of these great criteria you can choose and filter from, right? There's due dates, there's priorities. These are items that you will always be managing throughout your uh, time using TaxDome. So I hope there's a little bit more clarity with tasks and jobs. You'll get more and more familiar with those terms as we keep moving forward. Job recurrences are pretty much scheduling a job to happen in the future and therefore repeating many times in the future. We'll talk about how that looks like and we'll set up a job recurrence a little bit later on today. So for example, in this list, when I set up a job recurrence, I set it up for this account. I need them to go through this pipeline every year, once a year, and the next date would be this date, right? And once this date comes through, the next recurrence will regenerate to the next year. Now, this is ideal really for more monthly or weekly jobs that need to happen. And that way you don't need to worry about manually creating jobs. We'll create a job later today, so that also can make a little bit more sense to you. In the same section, we have our pipelines. We'll get today, we'll teach you how to go through the steps of obtaining a pre-made template, so that you have as many templates as you'd like. Just like my screen shows, I have quite a few that I've copied over from my library. You'll also see this calendar view, which simply lists tasks and jobs, whether it's due dates if you want to just show due dates on here, or if you just want a nice calendar view of when things are getting completed. Strictly showing tasks and jobs. We do have additional filters in case you have 100 jobs active in this month with due dates this month. So it's just a nice view. I personally like the pipeline view, and we'll get to that shortly, but I want to make sure that at least the terminology sits well with you. Okay. All right. So at this point, I want to start talking about where do you go to get some of these items, right? We're always going to the template section. Okay. So Taxome really is this huge template, really. It counts with so many templates. And why would you want to use templates? Well, it'll, number one, make your life easier. And number two, it's going to allow for you to learn how a standard process potentially is laid out in Taxdome. You might you might be in this industry for many, many years, but not understand how to plot your process in Taxdome. So it's nice to look at templates to be able to do that. We recommend that you make them for everything that you can. For example, email templates, predetermined emails, predetermined messages, and predetermined engagement letters that you'll make. Um, so not only will they save you really a ton of time, they'll also make your workflow a little bit smoother and easier. And a lot of feedback that we get from clients, and you probably can see this in Taxome community, is that Taxome makes everything so much faster for them, and automates a lot of the administrative stuff they were doing before.